Matthew 24.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Two days after the Passover, Jesus retired to the Mount of Olives with his disciples. From the vantage point of the Mount of Olives, the disciples were enwrapped in the beauty of the temple. Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the original. Solomon's temple was an order of magnitude more beautiful than the current temple that Herod built. The disciples were enthralled with the beauty of Herod's temple, but Christ was not impressed. Verse 2, There shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. And indeed, in 70 AD, Titus gave orders to demolish the entire city of Jerusalem and its temple. The disciples were flabbergasted when Christ foretold the temple's destruction. If this magnificent building will be destroyed, then the disciples surmised, it must be the end of the world. Jesus made use of the opportunity to provide glimpses into some of the events that will unfold prior to his imminent return. There shall be wars and rumors of wars. But, one might say, there have always been wars. Genesis 14, which Moses wrote in circa 1500 BC, records the first war in Bible, a war between the four kings in ancient Iraq and Iran against the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the rest of the cities that are collectively the Dead Sea. Israel expanded territory in Canaan through a series of conquests. And when the Jews were deposed of property, Rome, the superpower at the time, arose out of Macedonia by defeating Greece in the Battle of Pydna. There have always been wars. Certainly, Jesus is not referring to occurrences but frequency. Matthew 24 verse 12, And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. In today's age, iniquity abounds. Disdain for the Bible, God's law, is heightened. Atheism and agnosticism are at record levels. Governments, men and women who occupy positions of trust and authority, thinking men and women of all classes, have their attention fixed upon the events taking place about us. They are watching the relations that exist among the nations. They can't help but recognize that something great and decisive is about to take place. The world is on the verge of a stupendous crisis. Revelation 12, Satan warred with Christ in heaven and lost. The devil and his angels were kicked out of heaven. The great controversy is here on earth. Satan and his army of confederates have been the avowed enemies of God in our world, continually warring against the cause of truth and righteousness. Satan has continued to present to men, as he presented to the fallen angels, his false representations of Christ and of God, and he has won the world to his side. Even the professedly Christian churches have taken sides with the first great apostate, Satan the arch-rebel. James 4 verse 2, Ye lust, and have not, ye kill, and desire to have, and cannot obtain, ye fight and war. Satan's temptations are leading multitudes to ruin. Intemperance, unchecked passions, dethrones reason. War, strife, and bloodshed inevitably follow. Satan delights in war, for it excites the worst passions in men. War sweeps into eternity its victims, steeped in vice and blood. It is the devil's object to incite the nations to war and fight against one another, for therein he can divert the minds of the people from the work of preparation to stand in the day of God. The devil uses wars, strife, conflicts, to divert the mind from soul-searching, Bible study, prayer, soul-winning and preparation for Jesus' imminent return. In wartime parlance, this is called diversionary tactics. It's all distraction. In November 2023, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict occupies the majority of the media spotlight, but in the Middle East and North Africa, the region in which Israel and Palestine belong, there are at least 45 armed conflicts. The rest of Africa has 35 known armed conflicts, Asia has 21, Europe has 7, which includes the Russia-Ukrainian war, and Latin America has 6. The media cherry-picks the reporting, but armed conflict and strife are global. In Matthew 24, the Lord highlights an elevation of sinfulness in our day. Love waxes cold. There is an overabundance of narcissism, wanton callousness, selfishness and a lack of empathy and love for each other. James 4 puts lust and envy at the heart of wars. There are also family squabbles that date back to Abraham. It is the devil's studied aim to ensure that the earth is continuously engrossed in conflict. Because by doing so, Satan will be able to distract men and women from their real duty. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. But unfortunately, there is strife even in the church. Hatred, selfishness, mirror that of the world. Classism, racism, political divisions, folk who claimed to believe in God cannot get along. Meanwhile, agnostics, atheists, higher critics and such the like are fixated with the dichotomy that they see in the lives of those professing to be Christians. Our very lives give God's enemies opportunities to blaspheme. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Matthew 24 verse 6. Wars and rumors of war, prophecy is being fulfilled. But the end is not yet. Herein complacency sets in. While it is true that there are sequences of events that must unfold prior to Jesus' second coming, we should never say, "My Lord delayeth his coming." James 4 verse 14, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor, that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away. Life is even a vapor. Tomorrow is promised to no one. Thinking that one has time because certain prophetic events have not yet been sequenced is a very dangerous precedent. The enemy of our souls is telling you to wait for a more convenient season. He has prepared these various excuses why you should not make your decision to be obedient to the law of God. He is a deceiver. He falsifies the character of God. The best thing that one can do in the midst of all these wars, strife, conflict, immorality, and lawlessness, is to be on the Lord's side. Jesus is coming back for an obedient, law-abiding people. John 14 verse 15, if ye love me, keep my commandments. Obedience to God's law guarantees the best possible life. It brings us in harmony with God and His Christ. And though we live in a world of constant wars and conflict, in Christ there is refuge, peace and joy. You'll find comfort in the words of Luke 21 verse 28, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. In Christ there will be peace and joy forever.